Hello and welcome to VRDays. I'd like to start off by thanking all the people involved in making this event happen and for inviting us over. We're very proud to be here today. So our topic is virtual reality and telerehabilitation. We are going to break this down into three sections: the rehabilitation aspect, telerehabilitation, and virtual reality. Where does virtual reality comes into all of this? I'll introduce myself real quick. I'm AnthonyDemanuele, studio head at Flying Squirrel Games. For the past 6 years at the studio, we've been working on many games for mobile platforms, Nintendo Switch games, and virtual reality games and experiences. You can follow more about what we do on our website or social media. But it's also important to note what we've been working on for the past 12 months. We started off a new funded project called PrimeVR2, where we are set out to build this platform that uses virtual reality for rehabilitation purposes. Okay, so let's start off by looking at who needs rehabilitation. During the course of this project, we've been working closely with clinicians and hospitals to try and understand this problem a bit better. And what we've learned so far is that many more patients than we originally thought needs assistance. For the sake of this talk here today and for the sake of the project as well, we're only looking at 3 groups of people, including athletes from amateur to professional athletes. We're also looking at stroke patients and people with disabilities. Why telerehabilitation though? As we all know, this year due to COVID-19, everyone is talking about this problem one more time. Why not do things remotely? But this problem didn't come about because of COVID. We've known this problem for many years, and we'll mention a few people who need this urgently. We'll start off by looking at people living in remote locations, or the closest clinic available to them is simply too far and they would spend up too much time traveling to and from. We're also looking at wheelchair-bound people that, although they have access to all the facilities that they need, it's just much harder to get there. So they would need the assistance of a family member or a therapist or a carer to help them get there. All of this costs time and money, and as we all know, the harder it is to get access to the therapy, the less likely that you're going to do it, or at the very best you just won't get the best care that is available to you. The big question is it good enough though? And surprisingly, most studies show that yes, it is good enough to do rehabilitation at home. Their therapists are still kept in the loop. They would follow up through video conferences, they would monitor the patient progress and change exercises and tasks according to their evolving needs. So what we're saying is that at the very least, doing rehabilitation at home is as good as doing it in the clinic, as long as it's done properly. So where does virtual reality come into all of this? Anything that we've discussed so far comes from what we've been learning throughout this project. But inherently we're a game development studio, and what we do on a daily basis is that we try to come up with ideas and concepts for new games that are engaging and fun to keep the players entertained. For a game to be commercially feasible, we look at many KPIs, but if we had to really break it down, it has to be fun. A game has to be fun and engaging. So when we're looking at this, we see lots of parallels between what we do on a daily basis versus the problems that the clinicians face on their end as well. So we know that for a therapy to be successful, it has 3 aspects to it. It needs to start as soon as possible, it needs to be as intensive as possible, and now the tricky part is that it has to be prolonged during the recovery phase at home. Unfortunately, if the exercises are not engaging enough, patients tend to drop off and stop doing these exercises. So this is where we come in. So how can we achieve that? Through the process of gamification, we can convert these boring and mundane tasks into something that is engaging and fun. More so, VR is very immersive, so we really have the opportunity of creating something that keeps the patients motivated. So far we've been looking at converting these conventional exercises into VR, which is all well and good, but what if we look beyond that? And we're excited here to show you 2 of the features that we're currently working on. The first one is the concept of tireless avatars. using artificial intelligence, these avatars look at what the patient is doing and try to explain to them what they can do better to best match what the therapist is recommending. And also through the use of body trackers, we're storing all this information about posture and movement, which the patients can see in real time, or it can be recorded for a later date to be reviewed by their therapist. We understand that more studies need to be done about this, but so far we're seeing that motor control learned in VR is transferable into real life environment, which is very critical and very exciting to see that. And also that movement learned, motor control learned in VR is as good or better than using conventional therapies. So far all of this looks really exciting and really good. So now we just have to go back and see if we tick all the boxes that we've set out to do. We start off by patient motivation. In using the conventional way, the patients do all of these exercises for the sake of doing them. Now, on this platform, they're doing these exercises within the environment to reap achievements and reward, which keeps the players entertained. We're looking at adaptability. So we're not just creating one game that fits everyone, but each game can be fine-tuned according to the patient's needs. We're also looking at variability. So different games will cater for similar exercises, but cater for different audiences, being young kids to elder patients. All of this being done while keeping that costs have to be it has to be cost effective. As we discussed earlier, that for a therapy to be effective, it has to be done as often as possible. So giving them this ability to do it at home will be cost effective when compared to attending all these sessions using the conventional way. So having said all of that, this sounds like rehab utopia. Well, we're obviously not there yet. The technology is available now, the cost is affordable, but it's just not widely adopted yet. There are some challenges that we need to consider and work on, such as like the infrastructure is just not there yet. The hardware, the equipment, while it is affordable, it's not yet cheap enough to be widely adopted. And obviously, very importantly, given the field that we're talking about, health, there are some safety concerns that we really need to discuss and consider before we move forward. So to summarize, using virtual reality for rehabilitation purposes sounds like the promised land. It has very positive outcomes. We saw that it allows for increased intensity and duration of the exercises, which is very beneficial for the patients. It may be monitored in real time or offline by the therapist. It's relatively speaking cost effective. It decreases the need for hospital visits, so this is all well and good. At the same time, we spoke about some adverse effects and challenges that we still need to work on, such as the loss of real contact between the patient and the therapist, the loss of sensory input as well between the two that happens right now in conventional therapy, the danger of relegating the patients to their own home, so it will be counterproductive in that case, and the danger of patients attempting incorrect exercises or doing the correct exercises but in a wrong way, which will be again counterproductive. So what are the next steps? So this is the exciting part for the project and for our team. The PrimeVR2 project is still ongoing. It's made up of 5 universities from across Europe, 3 hospitals including the NHS in the UK, and industrial partners such as ourselves. So you can follow more about what we're working on our website, prime-vr2.eu, or on our social media. We highly encourage you to do so. We've got some exciting news to share with you over the coming months and years. Thank you very much.